supernatural. Everyone is talking these days about blood moons. Why? We know from Joel that before the awesome, great day of the Lord, the day of judgment, there's going to be a moon that will be all blood. But what most people don't know is that every time, historically, when there is what is known as a tetrad is 4 blood moons in a row. Every time there's been a tetrad on biblical feasts, not on the feasts that most Christians celebrate, but I mean on the biblical feast, something significant has happened to change the whole world. There is a tetrad that will occur this year and next year on a biblical feast, and there won't be another one for another 400 years. What significant thing is going to happen between this year and next year? I believe I have the guest that will be able to tell us that. So, I'm watching television. I'm watching the major news shows. And all of a sudden, internationally known evangelists are on these secular news shows talking about the blood moons. So I do a little research, and I find out that everyone that I'm aware of found out their basic information from Mark Biltz. Tell me a bit about your background, that you know these things.
Well, sure, I'd love to, Sid. To me, this is so exciting. I feel like just a little kid. And when I was a little kid, I loved astronomy. And I'd be laying down out on the grass, and I'd be looking up at the heavens, and like Psalms 19, where it says, the heavens declare the glory of God. And I would just be looking up, and I just love it. And I had a telescope, and I'd always be trying to find the moons around Jupiter and the ring around Saturn. And then as I got older and I became a believer and filled with the Holy Spirit, and I just loved God, and all of a sudden I found out about the feasts of the Lord. And I realized they weren't the Jewish feasts, but they were the Lord's feasts. And I'm going to NASA's website because I love math, I love science. And I had seen this beautiful total lunar eclipse over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And I got to thinking about the Bible verses, you know, with the moon turning to blood and the sun to sackcloth. And so what did I do? I thought, well, let's see if there's any interesting eclipses coming up. And so I looked, and I saw there were these 4 total lunar eclipses in a row. And I thought, well, how often does that happen? And so I was going to NASA's website, and I saw it didn't happen at all in the 1800s, didn't happen in the 1700s, didn't happen in the 1600s.
So it's pretty rare.
It's very, as a matter of fact, after my research, I found it has only happened 8 times in the last 2,000 years.
That's rare.
These have fallen on the biblical feast days. But that's what was so amazing. I'm in my prayer closet. It's about 4 in the morning. I was getting up, early for a long time. And I'm praying, and all of a sudden, it's like this voice comes and says, Mark, put these on the biblical holidays. Because when I was on NASA's website, it had like April and October, April and September, and it was like a download. And so I get all excited, and I run out to my computer, and I get on the computer, and I see they fell on Passover and Tabernacles, Passover and Tabernacles. So now I'm ready to jump out of my skin. I can't believe this. Oh my gosh, And so I go back and I look, and then I see when else they've happened in history, and it just blew me away.
Well, the thing that is so amazing to me, tell me about the last set of tetrads, that's 4 of these blood moons in a row. One was just happened to be in 1948. Another one just happened to be in 1967. What significant things happened in 1948 and I think all of you know. Do many of you know what happened in 48 and 67, but just in case.
Well, sure. Well, the thing that amazes me concerning the math is, according to NASA, over 5,000 years, you only average one total lunar eclipse every year and a half. And here we have 4 within a year and a half, and they're falling on the feast days. And the last time it happened was when Israel recaptured Jerusalem in 1967 and 1968. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, good grief, this is supernatural. And so I go running back and I look at the next date, and it was right after Israel became a nation in 1948. It happened in 1949 and 50. And so now my mind's reeling, so I have to go back, and I got to do some more research. And I'm going back, and I find out it happened during the Inquisition, 1492, when Columbus sails the ocean blue.
Now, why was that? Now, that was pretty bad for us Jewish people, because we Jews were literally left. If we didn't leave, we'd be murdered. So it wasn't too good for us Jewish people, but it had an effect on the world. What was that?
Well, sure it did, because they expelled all the Jews on the 9th of Av, and also in Portugal in 1493, 1494. What happens, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella are taking all the Jewish wealth, but that is what helped finance the finding of the New World and all the Jews coming over to America.
So in your opinion, if the Jews hadn't been expelled, and Christopher Columbus, who was Jewish, and you told me also there were a number of his crew that were Jewish, why? Because they had to leave Spain, they might not have founded America.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And you know what? As I went back further, at the destruction of the temple in 70 AD.
That's going way back.
Way back. Solar lunar eclipses all over the biblical holidays. And then during the time of Messiah's death, 32, 33 AD, solar lunar eclipses all over the biblical holidays. And so I'm thinking, God is true.